Hello, View Amsterdam. It's so great to be back and celebrate this amazing event with all of you. Frontend is no longer just the UI layer. It handles caching, it handles state management, it orchestrates the API, it contains some business logic. With such complexity, it can easily become chaos. So to control this chaos, we need to bring order to it. And that is precisely why we need both dungeon masters in D&D and front-end architects. My name is Jakub, and I'm a full-stack developer specializing in Nuxt. I'm part of the Nuxt ecosystem team, helping core team maintain modules, plugins, documentation, speaking at conferences, sharing a good word about the framework. I'm also a Google developer expert in web performance, and as a hobby, in my free time, I craft some great stories for my players as a dungeon master. So for those of you who are not familiar with the D&D concept, it's a role-playing game where a group of friends meet, and the players, they role-play certain characters, such as elf wizard, or halfling rogue, or maybe dwarf barbarian. And me, as a dungeon master, I focus on role-playing multiple characters, the people they meet along the way. I focus on maintaining the story, the adventure, and also the rules themselves. But before we dig deeper into Dungeons & Dragons, let's address the dragon in the room and talk a bit about software architecture. So software architecture is about decisions and quality attributes we wish we could get right early in the project. Decisions are the things that we perceived as difficult to change. Over time, difficult to change, while quality attributes could be performance, scalability, accessibility. Early, probably before the project starts. And there are 4 main dimensions of software architecture, and to explain all of them, I usually like to bring an allegory of a D&D character class. So let's take a look at this handsome guy here. He is holding a shiny sword, wearing a big iron armor, and holding also a winged helmet. So this guy certainly has a class. My personal favorite, he's a paladin, and he has a background, origin, personality. Maybe during the adventure, he lost a brother in a battle, and he's trying to find him throughout the adventure. He has some stats, such as strength, dexterity, or constitution. And finally, has some skills, such as the overpowered divine smite. Whoever played Baldur's Gate or D&D knows what I'm talking about. Supportive lay on hands, or occasional divine sense. So if we compare it to software architecture, we will see that class can be converted to a style. It could be microservices, could be monolith, modular monolith, micro frontends. The background can be decisions, basically guidelines for the team where they should go with the architecture and the project. The stats will convert into characteristics, so we might have performance, accessibility, and scalability. And notice that we can't have everything at 100. We need to prioritize them. It's not possible to have everything from the start. And skills will move into logical components. Modules, UI, design system, basically anything that will build our software. And by building architecture, we have to take few things into consideration. And those things are called architectural drivers. And this could be a team experience, could be business goals, could be functional requirements, constraints. All these things we need to take into consideration while building our software architecture and front-end architecture, to be more precise. So speaking about front-end architecture itself, let's apply those things, style, characteristics, decisions, and logical components for our front-end architecture. The first example, we might have monolith Nuxt application. For the characteristics, we want to focus on performance, then accessibility and SEO. For the decisions, we want to go with Pinia for our global state management, and we want to do write operations in API layer. For the logical components, we'll go with server components, composables, and stores. The second example could be micro frontends view, scalability, deployability, and maintainability for characteristics. Decisions, we will share code with layers and compose our application client-side. And for logical components, finally, we'll use models, collections, templates, views, possibly more. So every architectural decision we make is basically a trade-off. So if we can select a global state, we have to take into consideration trade-off of convenience versus coupling. Micro frontends, autonomy versus complexity, Nuxt SSR, performance versus operational complexity. Front-end architect role, another allegory for Dungeons and Dragons, because I will be speaking as Dungeon Master. So both roles have three main jobs or roles. Starting with setting the direction. We need to set the direction. We need to sometimes make some tough decisions, whether it's the project, and we need to select some technology, or it's the journey, and we need to make some tough decisions for the players. Second of all, we need to analyze the trade-offs and also take into consideration something that is called technical breadth and technical depth. I will talk about it in a second. And finally, both Dungeon Master and front-end architect, they do in some way the invisible glue work, which means documentation, notes, meetings, and guiding less experienced team members. About technical breadth and technical depth. You see this pyramid, which is divided into three, let's say, parts. The top one, what you know. We are here at Vue Amsterdam, so probably for all of us, it will be Vue or Nuxt. This is our expertise. We specialize in Vue or Nuxt. The one in the middle, what you know, you don't know. If we specialize in front-end, in Vue, for us, it could be like e-commerce, CMS, search, payment, things we are aware of, but we are not proficient with. And finally, at the bottom, we have what you don't know. So the things that we are completely not aware of in our everyday work. Maybe it could be Kubernetes, Terraform, DevOps, cloud, you name it. So as the front-end architect, we need to focus on two elements, the top one and the middle one. We need to be comfortable with going out from the comfort zone and trying new things out and becoming proficient with it. So for modeling the architecture, I usually use a thing called C4 model. Yeah, it's still there. So it basically looks like this. It's a model that is sometimes compared to Google Maps, where you can zoom in and zoom out to see more or less details. So we're starting with a context where we have a customer that uses our e-commerce app, and our e-commerce app can connect to some kind of third-party services such as CMS or payment. And if we want to go deeper and see what's inside our so-called e-commerce app, we can go to level deeper into container level. And in this container, we can see that this e-commerce app, it's actually composed out of static Nuxt app, which is for the blog, SPA view for the portfolio page, and maybe a Nuxt SSR app for displaying products that integrates with the API created in Nest.js and using the database such as PostgreSQL. But let's say that we are interested in seeing what this web app actually has inside. So we can go also a level deeper into component level. And in here, we will see that the web app can have like a product card component, a listing page, product fetch, maybe some kind of a module for handling sitemap and robots. And finally, there is the last level for the code. And in here, we can go deeper into specific element of the component model, component level, and it's called code. And in here, we can see the product fetch. It could be a composable. And inside, we'll see that it has some functions for fetching the product, for getting full product price, or maybe getting a product variant. So the general rule of thumb here is that the code level shouldn't be that accurate because it probably will change a lot throughout working on a project. However, the context level, we should spend the most time here because this is the highest level of architecture, and in here we should spend the most amount of time because this shouldn't change after we define it. Architectural decisions. Why is more important than what? It doesn't matter if we choose Next.js or Nuxt, although in my opinion you should be using Nuxt, but the general rule is understanding why we're using it. Maybe we are using it because we need server-side rendering, or we need performance, or we need SEO. There should always be a reason why we are selecting a tool rather than just following a trend or vibe. And to document the decisions, there is a great repository and a great concept created by Michael Negard called Decision Record, actually Architecture Decision Record, in short ADR. And I was using it quite a lot in one of the previous projects I was working on because we had continuous changes in how the architecture was supposed to look like and changes of the business needs. So we needed to find a way how we can easily document those things so that new joiners, like new developers, or maybe supervisors of the project, they can instantly see what was the decision and what are the consequences of it. You can scan the QR code. It will take you to the GitHub repository of this, where you can see this file. You can copy it and use it as well in your projects. I will give you a few seconds. Okay. And into architecture design, specifically for Vue and Nuxt, because we are at Vue Amsterdam conference. Architecture is not only about code, it's about defining a way how teams can move and work seamlessly, like smoothly and safely. So for the team of 2 or 3 people, we probably wouldn't go for micro frontends because it would be too complex. So we would probably go for monolith. If the team grows to 10 people, we might consider going to modular. I will show you in a second how this approach works. And if the team it's combined out of, I don't know, 30 people, we probably will go for micro frontends. But the thing is, with the going right, we have the bigger team size, but also bigger technical complexity. So now let me show you a bit about Nuxt modular architecture. Whoever of you was here last year, I was showing something similar in the project that I created. But the general idea is that we have a very simple app. It's like a hello world. And we have an app folder where we have our core application. We might have some assets, components, pages, as I mentioned, pure hello world application. But we also do have local modules because Nuxt allows us to create local modules. And in these modules, we can extract, by the way, is the font size okay, or should I increase? Okay. So we have 3 main modules: the listing module, the product module, and the search module. Probably, if someone is working with e-commerce, this is a common thing. So each module has some content in it. We have the configuration, so it will be a product module. And what we do inside is we can extend pages. So we can register here in this particular module, we can register new pages, new composables, or new components that will be coupled and grouped into one specific domain. That could be a product, could be a listing. So we can extend like a product page or product variant page. We can register composables and components. In other scenario, in the search module here, we can also register API like server handlers if we like to. And also, if we want to go out from just our local local module, we can also do like install modules, where we can basically install any kind of Nuxt module. So we can have a block module where we will, for example, install Storyblock Nuxt module and add Storyblock to our Nuxt application. Really nice for structuring your app so that it's prepared to scale and adapt to changing needs of the business and the project as well. Going further, we have Nuxt layers, and there is no better video or tutorial that you can watch than the video from Professor Alex Lichter, who is there. It's a great tutorial about how it works, but from my side, just to explain to you how it works quickly, it allows us to basically extend one Nuxt application with another one. So what we can do is we can create an app layer, shared layer, or specific domain layer, and we can extend our main application with it. We can also use a layer created as an NPM package or from a GitHub repository. Very versatile, very, very useful for extendable architecture. But as my friend Tomek Ducin once said, folder structure is not architecture per se, and never has been. Because architecture is much more. It's not only about how we name files and how we structure them in the repository. It's about the decisions. It's about the setting boundaries, ownership, and many, many other things. So it's not only about how we name files and structure them in our code. And if we are looking for some tools that would help us achieve better architecture, these are called architecture guardrails. Sorry. We can use a tool called Dependency Cruiser. It's a really nice thing that I recently discovered. It basically allows us to create rules that certain module, for example, cannot use dependencies from another module. So if you have a product page, we cannot import, for example, a component from a listing module. This way, it's much easier when our repository or project grows. It's much easier to maintain the coupling of the logic and avoiding coupling the modules together, because then it's much easier to extract them into either module, layer, or micro frontend application. So last year, Alvaro did a talk here about Tres.js, how he built a Vue.js, Vue-based 3D RPG game, and he invited me, Daniel, and Alex to join his session where we are doing in some way D&D. And at the end, he said how amazing it would be to have a D&D session here in Vue Amsterdam. So I decided, why not? So let me welcome to the stage Ramona, Alvaro, and Alex. Please give them a big round of applause.
Hi.
Good? Okay. Exactly. So, in terms of D&D, what we usually do is, before we actually go into a session itself, we create some kind of a theme so that we all get into right mood, let's say. Let me see if that works. Can we have some sound, or? Oh, we have. Great. Ooh, spooky. So, the lanterns flicker as your party descends into the ruins of an ancient keep. Long ago, this place was a temple of knowledge, but now the halls are twisted with dark magic and forgotten traps. Rumors say a powerful artifact lies somewhere within. The Orb of Order, a relic said to bring structure to even most chaotic systems. But the dungeon does not give up its treasures easily. 3 adventurers step forward into the darkness. So, starting with Ramona. Ramona today will be Mira, the half-elf wizard, a brilliant spellcaster whose curiosity often leads the group into strange situations. But her mastery of magic has saved them many times. Years of studying ancient arcane systems have sharpened her instincts. Going further, Alvaro, who is right now drinking, we have Dorian, the tiefling rogue. Quick, clever, and always watching for hidden dangers, Dorian is used to working in shadows and navigating traps that would stop most adventurers in their tracks. And finally, Alex will be Kyle, the human paladin, my favorite. A battle-hardened knight, sworn to protect his allies and face danger head-on. Kyle believes that courage and strength can overcome any obstacle standing between the party and their goal. So we know our characters, we know a bit of the story. Now we'll move into the first scene. The first scene is for Kyle, for you, Alex. As you move deeper into the sorry, I forgot one thing. These are the players. So the first scene for Kyle. As you move deeper into the dungeon, the corridor suddenly collapses ahead of you. A massive stone pillar has fallen across the path, blocking the only way forward. Dust fills the air. That's good roleplay. The rest of the party looks to Kyle, the only one strong enough to move the obstacle. What do you do?
Well, I want to use my strength to move the obstacle.
That's a good answer. So how does it work right now is that Alex will roll the dice, the d20 dice, and you will add your strength and proficiency modifier, which will be +7 to the score.
Ooh.
And you will tell me the result, and I will tell you what happened.
Okay. Wish me luck, guys. Otherwise, we're stuck in the corridor forever, right? All right. So I rolled a 10 + 7 is a 17.
Ooh, nice one. You plant your feet and push with all your strength. With a grinding sound, the pillar rolls aside, just enough for the party to squeeze through. The path forward is clear. So we move on to Mira now.
Let's go.
This one. As the party moves deeper into the dungeon, the air suddenly grows cold. A crack of blue lightning flashes across the chamber, and a creature of pure arcane energy forms before you. A living spell. I said at the beginning that players can also roleplay multiple characters, as you have seen. A living spell, a swirling mass of unstable magic, floats above the ground, crackling with power. The creature turns towards the party. But Mira has studied magic her entire life. Creatures like this are dangerous, but not unfamiliar. What do you do?
Well, I take a little moment to think and will cast a shield spell.
What?
Shield.
Shield spell. Okay. Don't you want to smack it with
Yes.
lightning?
It's an 11, and I guess there are some modifiers.
Yes, but before that, as you are proficient with magic, we'll do a bit modification here. If you are proficient with it or experienced with it, you will roll with so-called advantage, which means that you will roll dice twice and take the better result.
All right, so let's see what's the next one. 11 again.
Okay, consistent. +7, because it's 18. You raise, okay, let's say that your shield also fires missiles. You raise your hand and release a precise bolt of magic. Your spell pierces the creature's unstable core, and the living spell shatters, then collapses into harmless sparks of fading energy. Pew, pew, pew. The chamber falls silent once again. And we have our final player. This is the animation, by the way. The shield, right? And we have finally Dorian. That was a bit of a spoiler. At the end of the dungeon, the party finally reaches a massive iron chest. Ancient symbols mark it as the resting place of the Orb of Order. But something isn't right. Thin wires and tiny metal plates surround the lock. a deadly trap designed to punish anyone careless enough to tamper with it. Even for experts such as Dorian, this looks dangerously complicated. What do you do?
Don't mess it up, man.
Let me find my dexterity.
Ooh.
Okay, I can have the key. Can I use AI for it? No? Okay.
You
Doesn't work here.
Key.
I can use this key.
It's your lockpicking set.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'm dexterity here.
Mm-hmm.
So, any advantage?
You have disadvantage.
Oh.
Because it's dangerous, so it means that he will need to roll twice and take the worst result.
He has a lockpicking set.
Exactly.
Yes, but it's dangerous.
Can't do anything against that.
I like danger. Where's Daniel? Daniel has more luck. Where's Daniel?
He rolled. Come on, you can also roll a 20. Let's go.
Come on, come on.
Oh.
5,
Okay. That can go worse.
7. So 5.
So 5, unfortunately.
Oh.
But
This
you get
means
but you get like modifiers. Come on. It's not just a 5. 5 plus.
it was +7, but it's still not enough. Unfortunately.
Dun dun dun.
Your pick slips for just a moment. A sharp metallic snap echoes through the chamber. Hidden darts shoot from the walls and the lock jams shut. The chest remains sealed, and the dungeon reminds you that even experts sometimes fail. That would be the end of our small adventure. Give a round of applause for our players. You can stay, you can go, whatever.
Sounds like a typical migration story if you don't plan well enough. So next time, bring your lockpicking set for like expert level.
That's a good one.
We did all the hard work just so that the one guy can fail.
I mean,
No shame on you. It's okay. More luck next time in your new job.
your job.
Big applause for Jakub for this amazing round.
Thank you. So that was certainly fun. And the thing was, have you seen some similarities between doing the session here and doing front-end architecture? This is a strange question. Because if you think about it, hosting a session here for all of you, taking into consideration the time constraints that I have 30 minutes for the whole talk, the players might have completely different experience, not experience, could be experience with D&D, and also that I wanted to do this session here. So we had goals, time constraints, and experience, but we made it. And it's the same with front-end architecture. If we take those constraints into consideration, we are able to do. Thank you. Music can go. But speaking of fun, last year, Alvaro did a talk about Trust.js. I told about it already. And since then, both me and Alvaro were experimenting in trying to build. OK, I see there should be a video, but it doesn't play. I will show it in a second. So we were experimenting in trying to build a 3D RPG game with the project he created, the Trust.js. So here you can see the screenshot of what Alvaro is doing, so building characters, building some kind of UI, which is similar to Baldur's Gate game. However, in my case, I went in a bit different way. Hope you can see at least something here. But I recently implemented the collision system, which was so much fun because I was doing it without any AI. I was just trying to figure out how it could work, and it made me so much fun to basically build those things. If you haven't tried Trust.js yet, I highly encourage you to do so because it's an amazing project created by Alvaro. You can build from like 3D scenes, games, basically anything you like. OK. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, find me somewhere, you can do so by searching for Jakub Andrzejewski. I have a blog, I have an X profile, I have a YouTube channel as well. And if you'd like to see my open source work, you can go to Baroshem in GitHub. On the blog, I'm posting weekly about Vue, Nuxt, and performance, so probably similar concept we discussed today. And if you like to learn more about front-end architecture, there are 2 resources that I can highly recommend, starting with Front-end Architecture course by Maxi Ferreira, Fundamentals, really good one, and also a huge guide from Tomek Ducin, the guy I mentioned earlier, about what is front-end architecture. Few final words. We are closing. Systems don't break, they drift. There is a term in architecture called architectural drift, which basically means that it's not about a single PR that makes the architecture worse. It's about those small ones that we are adding constantly because we don't care, we don't have time, we don't focus enough. So with that in mind, it can become chaos, as I mentioned in the very beginning. So the only way to fix it is to bring order to it, as I mentioned. So small note to you, be the dungeon master your application deserves. That will be all from my side. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the conference.